almost kept my mouth shut that night. Not because I didn't know what to say. I knew exactly what the words were. I had carried them around in my chest for weeks, maybe months. I almost stayed quiet, because some sentences change the direction of your life the moment you let them out. And before this story goes any further, let me ask you something personal. Do quiet stories matter to you? Not the loud ones. Not the dramatic, explosive, viral moments. I'm talking about the kind of stories that sit with you. The kind that follow you into the kitchen while you're making coffee. The kind that make you pause halfway through a thought and say, wait, that sounds like me. If those stories matter to you, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because subscribing isn't just support, it helps these stories find the people who need them, even when they don't realize they're looking yet. And if you've ever had a moment that changed you quietly, without noise, without chaos, tap the like button. Then leave a comment, and tell me where you're listening from. Now take a breath. Because what I'm about to share isn't loud, but it's real. And sometimes real is the bravest thing we ever say. That evening looked like every other evening before it. Nothing about it announced itself as important. No warning signs. No dramatic setup. The house was calm in that quiet, end-of-day way. The television murmured in the background. One of those shows neither of us was truly watching. The dinner dishes were stacked in the sink, waiting for a tomorrow that promised to look exactly like today. He sat at the far end of the couch, scrolling on his phone. Not ignoring me. Just half here. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, pretending I was relaxed. But my chest felt tight. Not with anger. Not with sadness. With something unfinished. We had been together long enough that I knew his rhythms better than my own. I knew the sound of his breathing when he was tired. The way his shoulders dropped when work finally let go of him. The small exhale he made when he felt content. And that night, he felt content. That was the problem. Contentment isn't bad. But contentment can quietly turn into distance when no one is paying attention. I shifted closer and rested my head against his shoulder. He smiled without looking up and kissed the top of my hair. Quick. Familiar. Automatic. And for reasons I didn't fully understand yet, that tiny moment hurt more than I expected. Because I missed when his kisses lingered. I missed when his attention wasn't split between me and a screen. I missed when love felt chosen, not assumed. I told myself all the things we tell ourselves when something feels off but we don't want to face it. You're overthinking. This is just a phase. This is what long-term love looks like. I told myself marriages go through seasons. I told myself comfort was a good sign. I told myself not to create problems where there weren't any. But the truth doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It sat heavy in my chest, pressing harder the longer I stayed silent. When the episode ended, he reached for the remote. Do you want to watch another? He asked. I opened my mouth to say yes. Instead, the sentence I had been hiding slipped out before I could stop it. Can we talk for a minute? The room shifted. Not dramatically. Just enough. He paused. Then he placed his phone face down on the table. That small gesture mattered more than he knew. Of course, he said. Silence settled between us. Not awkward. Not tense. Honest. I stared at my hands, suddenly unsure where to begin. Because this is the part where people usually say the wrong thing. Or say too much. Or say it too late. I've been feeling something. I started then stopped. He didn't rush me. He didn't interrupt. He waited. I don't know how to explain it without sounding ungrateful, I said. Because I love our life. I love you. He nodded. Calm. Open. But, he said gently, that single word gave me permission. Sometimes it feels like we're moving through our days on autopilot, I said. Like we're doing everything right, but not really seeing each other. His brow furrowed. Not defensively. Thoughtfully. I didn't want to bring it up, I admitted. I was afraid I'd ruin a good thing. That's when he surprised me. You wouldn't ruin it by talking, he said. You'd ruin it by staying quiet. Those words landed deeper than he probably realized. Because how many relationships slowly fade, not from betrayal, but from unspoken truths. I miss us, I said. Not angrily. Not accusingly. Honestly. Not the responsibilities. Not the routines. I miss the closeness. The late-night conversations. The way you used to look at me like you were really here. He leaned back and exhaled slowly. I thought you were comfortable, he admitted. I thought that meant we were okay. I am comfortable, I said. I just don't want comfort to be the only thing we have. The room went quiet again. Then he reached for my hand. I didn't know you felt this way, he said. And I didn't realize I felt it too. I looked up at him. You did. He nodded. I just assumed this is what long-term love turns into, he said. Less talking. Less touching. More stability. I don't think it has to be, I said. Something loosened in my chest. That's when I said the thing I almost kept to myself. I want us to try. Try what? He asked. Try choosing each other again, I said. Not out of habit. On purpose. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, slow, deliberate. I want that, he said. I just didn't know how to ask. We moved closer. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Present. He leaned in and kissed me differently. Slower. Softer. The kind of kiss that listens instead of takes. And in that moment, I realized how deeply I had missed feeling met. That night didn't end with grand promises. It ended with conversation. With laughter. With honesty that felt fragile and strong at the same time. The days that followed weren't perfect. But they were intentional. We ate dinner without screens. We asked real questions. We stayed in bed longer, talking about things we used to assume the other already knew. Sometimes he'd pull me close in the kitchen for no reason. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me like he was seeing me again for the first time in years. And every once in a while, I'd think back to that moment on the couch. The moment I almost stayed quiet. I'm glad I didn't. Because some truths don't break love. They wake it up. Not every turning point is loud. Not every change comes with warning. Sometimes all it takes is one sentence you almost didn't say. If quiet stories like this matter to you, you belong here. Subscribe to the channel. Tap like if this story felt familiar. And leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. Because somewhere, someone is sitting on a couch right now, holding back the sentence that could change everything. And maybe this story helps them say it. I didn't tell anyone about that conversation the next day. Not my friends. Not my family. Because some moments aren't meant for witnesses. They're meant to be lived. The morning after, nothing looked different. The sun came through the same window. The coffee tasted the same. The world didn't pause to acknowledge what had happened between us. But we knew. There was a gentleness in the way he said my name. A patience in the way I answered. Like we were both holding something fragile. And choosing not to drop it. Days passed. Then weeks. Not every day felt close. Not every conversation was deep. Sometimes old habits tried to sneak back in. Silence would hover. Phones would appear. Autopilot would tempt us. But now, when it did, we noticed. And noticing is where love quietly begins again. One night much later, we found ourselves back on the same couch. Different show. Same cushions. He reached for the remote. Paused. Then set it down without saying a word. Instead, he turned toward me. Fully. I don't want to miss us again, he said. I felt something warm rise behind my eyes. Not tears. Relief. Me neither, I whispered. That's when I understood something I wish I'd known sooner. Love doesn't disappear all at once. It fades in the spaces where we stop speaking. And it returns the moment we choose courage over comfort. Looking back, the most important part of this story isn't what I said. It's that I said it before it was too late. Because there are so many people sitting quietly beside someone they love, convincing themselves that silence is safer than honesty. It isn't. Silence doesn't protect love. It puts it to sleep. And sometimes all it takes to wake it up is one sentence you almost didn't say.